Beloved soul, pause right now, because what you are about to hear is not a coincidence, not a random message, and not something you stumbled upon by accident. This is a divine interruption, a moment that was written before you even opened your eyes today. There is a reason your attention has been pulled here, and you must not ignore it. Because today, something unusual has happened in the spiritual realm, something so intense that Archangel Michael himself is speaking, not in calm reassurance, but in righteous anger. And when heaven speaks in anger, it is never without cause. You feel it, don't you? That strange pull in your chest, that sudden stillness in your thoughts, as if time itself has slowed down just for you to hear this. Because it has. January 1st may feel like a beginning to you, but in the realm beyond what your eyes can see, May 22nd has already been marked. 2 dates, separated by time on earth, but deeply connected in the spirit. And between those 2 moments something happened. Something you did, or didn't do, has been noticed. This is not about fear. This is about truth. There was a moment, a decision, a hesitation. You were nudged. You felt it deep inside your spirit, like a whisper urging you to move, to act, to listen, to trust. But you paused. You doubted. You turned away, even if just for a second. And that second echoed louder than you could ever imagine. Heaven recorded it. Not to condemn you, but because your life carries weight. Your choices matter more than you realize. Archangel Michael does not rise in anger without purpose. He is the protector, the warrior, the defender of divine order. And today, his voice carries urgency because you are standing at a crossroads you cannot afford to ignore. This is not just another message you can scroll past and forget. If you walk away from this moment without listening, without truly hearing what is being revealed, there will be consequences that ripple through your path in ways you are not yet prepared to face. But listen carefully, because even in this intensity, there is mercy. You are being warned because you are seen. You are being called out because you are chosen. Not everyone receives a message like this. Not everyone is given the chance to correct what has already begun to unfold. But you are here, right now, in this exact moment, because heaven is giving you one more opportunity. Do not let distraction steal this from you. Do not let doubt convince you this is just imagination. The way you feel is real. The urgency is real. And the voice behind this message is not one to be ignored. Something shifted when you made that mistake, but something even greater can shift back if you choose to stay, to listen, and to act. The question is, will you? There are moments in your life that pass like ordinary seconds, unnoticed and uncelebrated. You wake up, you move through your routine, you make choices that feel small, almost invisible. But what you must understand now is this: there are no truly small moments in the eyes of heaven. What feels insignificant to you can carry a weight that echoes far beyond what your human mind can comprehend. And on May 22nd, something you did, or failed to do, was not overlooked. It was marked. This was not a random day. It was a day aligned with purpose, a day that had been quietly approaching in your spiritual timeline. Long before you were aware of it, the atmosphere around you had begun to shift. Subtle signs were placed in your path. You may remember them now, those strange coincidences, repeated thoughts, or feelings that something important was about to happen. There may have been a moment when your heart felt unusually heavy, or when a decision seemed more difficult than it should have been. That was not confusion. That was a signal. Heaven was watching closely, not to judge you harshly, but because you were being guided towards something crucial. You were standing at a point of decision that carried consequences far beyond that single moment. And yet, when the time came, something interrupted your alignment. Maybe it was fear. Maybe it was doubt. Maybe it was distraction or hesitation. Whatever it was, it pulled you slightly off course, and that slight shift created a ripple. You must understand, it is not always the loud mistakes that shake the heavens. Sometimes, it is the quiet ones, the moments when you knew what was right, but chose to delay. The times when you felt the inner voice guiding you, but you ignored it because it felt inconvenient or uncertain. Those are the moments that matter most, because they reveal the direction of your spirit. On that day, May 22nd, your spirit was being called to respond. There was something you were meant to say, or something you were meant to do, or perhaps something you were meant to release. And for a brief moment, you hesitated. That hesitation was enough to shift the outcome. Not permanently, but significantly enough that heaven took notice. This is why January 1st feels different for you now. While others see it as a fresh beginning, you are being drawn into something deeper, a continuation of something that was left unresolved. The connection between these two dates is not symbolic. It is real. What began on May 22nd is now reaching a point of consequence, and you have been brought here to understand it before it is too late to correct. Archangel Michael's presence in this moment is not accidental. He stands at the intersection of your past decision and your present awareness. His role is not only to protect but to reveal truth, even when that truth feels uncomfortable. His voice carries authority because what is at stake is not just a single moment, but the direction of your path moving forward. You may feel a sense of unease as you hear this, a quiet realization forming in your mind as certain memories begin to surface. Do not push them away. Do not try to justify or explain them. This is not the time for denial. This is the time for clarity. Because what happened on that day was not the end of your story, but it was a turning point. And now, you are being brought back to that point, not to relive it, but to understand it. What you uncover next will reveal the true nature of the mistake that echoed through the heavens. Listen closely now, because this is the moment where truth is no longer hidden behind mystery. What happened was not an accident. It was not something forced upon you. It was a choice. Subtle, quiet, almost invisible, but a choice that carried weight far beyond what you understood at the time. The mistake that echoed in the heavens was not simply about doing something wrong. It was about knowing what was right and still stepping away from it. There was a voice inside you. You remember it now, don't you? A gentle but persistent feeling, guiding you toward a decision that didn't fully make sense in the moment. It may have asked you to speak when silence felt safer. It may have urged you to walk away from something that felt comfortable but was no longer meant for you. Or perhaps it called you to trust, even when fear was louder than faith. That voice was not your imagination. That was divine direction. And yet, when that moment arrived, something within you resisted. You told yourself you needed more time. You convinced yourself that waiting would not matter. You allowed doubt to grow louder than truth. And in doing so, you delayed what heaven had already set into motion. This is the part many failed to understand. Your mistake was not rebellion in the way you might imagine. It was not loud defiance or intentional harm. It was hesitation. It was disobedience disguised as caution. And that is why it echoed so strongly in the spiritual realm. Because when you are chosen, even your smallest decisions carry greater impact. Archangel Michael is speaking with intensity because he sees what that moment affected. There was alignment prepared for you. There was protection positioned around a decision you were meant to make. There was a path opening that required your immediate response. But when you hesitated, that opening did not disappear, it shifted. And now, you are feeling the weight of that shift without fully understanding where it came from. Have you noticed the delays in your life recently? The way certain things seem just out of reach, no matter how hard you try. The confusion that appears when clarity should have been there. These are not punishments. They are consequences of misalignment. When you stepped away from that moment, even briefly, it disrupted the flow that had been carefully arranged for you. But hear this clearly. This is not where your story ends. The reason this message has reached you now is because correction is still possible. Heaven has not turned away from you. In fact, the very fact that you are hearing this proves that you are still being called back into alignment. But this time, the call is louder. It is firmer. It carries urgency because the window to correct what happened is not infinite. Archangel Michael's anger is not directed at you as a person. It is directed at the interference, the hesitation, the doubt that pulled you away from your purpose. He is fighting for your clarity, for your obedience, for your return to the path that was meant for you. And right now, you are being given a choice again. Will you continue to delay? Or will you finally acknowledge what your spirit already knows? Because deep down, you understand exactly what this is about. There is no confusion in your soul, only in your thoughts. The moment you have been avoiding the decision, you keep replaying the feeling you tried to silence. It is all rising back to the surface now for a reason. Do not ignore it again. Stay with this message. Let it reach you fully. Because what comes next will reveal why this moment matters more than you ever realized, and what must happen now to restore what was shifted. Type "I return to alignment" in the comments if you feel this truth awakening inside you. Blessing code 3917 is now activated over your path, and as this revelation settles into your spirit, understand this. What you do in response to this message carries power beyond this moment. When you choose to stand with truth, you are not just correcting a mistake, you are opening a doorway for others who are still lost in confusion. I declare this with you. I am not just listening, I am responding to the call placed upon my life. There are souls still waiting to hear messages like this, souls who are standing at their own crossroads, unsure of what to do next. When you sow into this mission, you are helping light reach places that are still in darkness. The word says that when you sow, you will also reap, pressed down and overflowing. This is not just giving, it is planting into a spiritual harvest that will return to you in ways you cannot yet see. If this message is speaking to your spirit, then act on it. Step into alignment not only through your heart, but through your action. Support this mission through Super Thanks or through the PayPal link in the description and QR code. Let your seed become part of something eternal. And as you give, may your path be cleared, your spirit strengthened, and your calling restored. There is something you must understand clearly, without fear and without misunderstanding. Divine anger is not like human anger. It is not reckless, it is not uncontrolled, and it is never without purpose. When Archangel Michael speaks in anger, it is not because he has lost patience with you as a person. It is because something sacred has been disrupted, something important has been delayed, and something powerful is now at risk of being lost if immediate correction does not take place. His anger is the fire of protection. It is the response of a guardian who sees danger approaching before you even recognize it. It is the urgency of a warrior who knows that time is not as flexible as you think it is. And right now, his voice carries that fire because you are standing in a moment that cannot be ignored any longer. Think about this. How many times have you felt a push in your spirit, only to question it? How many times have you received clarity, only to delay acting on it? Each time this happens, it creates a small distance between you and the path that was designed for you. And while one moment of hesitation may seem harmless, repeated hesitation begins to build a pattern. That pattern is what Archangel Michael is confronting right now. He is not angry at your weakness. He is addressing the pattern that is trying to take hold of your life. Because patterns shape destiny. What you did on May 22nd was not isolated. It revealed something deeper. It exposed a place where fear was allowed to speak louder than faith. It revealed a moment where comfort was chosen over obedience. And while that may feel like something small, in the spiritual realm, it becomes an entry point, an opening where delay, doubt, and distraction can begin to grow if they are not stopped. This is why his voice is firm. This is why his presence feels intense. Because he is not only addressing what has already happened, he is preventing what could happen next if this continues. There is a path that was prepared for you, one that carries purpose, clarity, and alignment. But there are also forces that benefit when you step away from that path, even slightly. Not everything that pulls you into hesitation is harmless. Some of it is designed to keep you stuck, to keep you questioning, to keep you from stepping fully into what has already been assigned to your life. Archangel Michael stands against those forces. He does not speak softly when urgency is required. He raises his voice not to scare you, but to awaken you. And this is your awakening moment. You may feel resistance even now. A part of you may want to dismiss this, to move on, to return to what feels normal and comfortable. But understand this, comfort is not always alignment. Sometimes, comfort is the very thing that keeps you from moving forward. His anger is not meant to push you away. It is meant to pull you back with force if necessary. Because what is at stake is not just a single decision. It is the direction your life is taking from this point forward. There are things waiting for you that require readiness. There are doors that require immediate response when they open. And if hesitation remains, those doors may not stay open long enough for you to walk through them. This is why the message is intense. This is why it feels different from anything you have heard before. Because this is not a gentle reminder. This is a call to break a cycle before it becomes something that holds you back for far longer than it should. Archangel Michael is not here to condemn you. He is here to correct your course while there is still time to do so without deeper consequences. And right now, you are being given a choice that matters more than you realize. Will you continue the pattern of hesitation? Or will you respond differently this time? Because what comes next will reveal the warnings you were given before this moment, the signs you may have overlooked, the signals that tried to guide you before things reached this level of urgency. Pay attention. Nothing that has happened was without meaning. There were signs placed in your path long before this moment arrived. Not loud, overwhelming signs that forced your attention, but quiet, persistent nudges that spoke directly to your spirit. You felt them, even if you tried to brush them aside. They came in subtle ways, through a thought that wouldn't leave you alone, through a feeling that something wasn't right, through repeated situations that seemed too aligned to be coincidence. Those were not random occurrences. They were warnings. You may remember a moment when everything inside you said, "Pause. Look closer. This matters." But instead of stopping, you kept moving. Not because you wanted to ignore the truth, but because slowing down felt uncomfortable. Facing that inner voice required you to step into uncertainty, and uncertainty can feel unsettling. So you chose to continue forward, hoping clarity would come later. But clarity was already trying to reach you. That is how warnings often work. They don't always arrive as clear instructions. Sometimes they come as discomfort, as unease, as a quiet resistance within you when something is not aligned. That discomfort you felt was not confusion. It was protection. It was your spirit recognizing something before your mind could fully understand it. There may have been patterns repeating in your life, conversations that felt strangely familiar, situations that mirrored something you had already experienced, or even people entering your life carrying the same energy as those from your past. These were not coincidences. They were reflections, showing you something that required your attention. And each time the pattern appeared, it was an opportunity to respond differently. But something held you back. Perhaps you told yourself, "It's not that serious." Or maybe you thought, "I'll deal with it later." You may have even convinced yourself that you were overthinking, that the feeling wasn't real, that you were imagining meaning where there was none. And in doing so, you silenced the very guidance that was trying to protect you. This is what made the moment on May 22nd so significant. It was not just a single mistake. It was the culmination of multiple warnings that had been gently leading you to that point. Each sign you overlooked added to the weight of that final moment. And when you hesitated then, it was not just about that one decision. It was about a pattern that had been building. Archangel Michael sees that pattern clearly. He sees where you were guided, where you were protected, and where you chose to move forward without fully listening. His urgency now is not just about correcting one moment, but about breaking that pattern before it continues to repeat itself in ways that become harder to reverse. You might be asking yourself now, "Why didn't I see it clearly before?" The truth is, you did see it, just not in the way you expected. You saw it in feelings, in instincts, in moments of hesitation that tried to slow you down. But because those signs didn't come with certainty, you questioned them. And that questioning created space for delay. But hear this now, those warnings have not disappeared. They have only grown stronger. What you are feeling right now, in this very moment, is not new. It is the same voice, the same guidance, returning with more clarity, more urgency, and more intensity because it cannot be ignored any longer. This is not the first time you have been called to pay attention. It is simply the first time the message has reached this level. And that is why you must not turn away now. Because when warnings are ignored repeatedly, they do not remain gentle forever. They become stronger, louder, more direct. Not to overwhelm you, but to ensure that what needs to be seen is finally recognized. You are being brought back to awareness, back to a place where you can see clearly what was once blurred by doubt and distraction. And this time, the choice in front of you is sharper, more defined, and more urgent. There is no more room for delay. What you choose to do now will determine whether the pattern ends here or continues to follow you forward. And what comes next will reveal the deeper consequences of walking away, not as punishment, but as the natural result of staying out of alignment for too long. There is a truth you must face now, and it may feel heavy at first, but it is necessary for your awakening. When you walk away from divine alignment, the consequences are not always immediate, and they are not always obvious. That is why so many people misunderstand them. They expect something dramatic, something undeniable. But what truly happens is far more subtle and far more dangerous if left unrecognized. The consequences begin quietly. They appear as delays where there should have been progress. Doors that almost open, but never fully do. Opportunities that come close, but slip away just before they take form. You may have already felt this, moments where you thought, "I was so close, but something shifted at the last second." That is not coincidence. It is misalignment revealing itself. When you step out of alignment, even slightly, you move out of the flow that was designed for you. It does not mean your purpose disappears. It does not mean you are abandoned, but it does mean that the path becomes harder to navigate. What was meant to be clear becomes confusing. What was meant to be smooth becomes filled with resistance. This is not punishment. This is consequence. There is a difference, and you must understand it. Punishment comes from anger without purpose. Consequence comes from order being disrupted. The universe, the spiritual realm, operates in alignment. When you are in that alignment, things move with a kind of grace that cannot be explained. But when you step outside of it, even unintentionally, that grace becomes harder to access. You may have noticed a heaviness in your spirit recently, a sense that something is not quite right, even if you cannot fully explain it. You try to move forward, but something feels blocked. You try to find clarity, but your thoughts feel scattered. That is what happens when alignment is disrupted. It creates distance between you and the clarity you were meant to walk in. And the longer that distance remains, the more it begins to affect other areas of your life. Relationships may start to feel strained or uncertain. Decisions that once felt simple may now feel overwhelming. Even your sense of direction may feel unclear, as if you are moving but not truly progressing. This is not because you are incapable. It is because something within your path needs to be corrected. Archangel Michael is not warning you out of anger alone. He is warning you because he sees where this path leads if it is not addressed. He sees the extended delays, the missed opportunities, the cycles that could repeat themselves over and over again if this pattern continues. And he refuses to allow that to happen without intervening. Because you are not meant to live in confusion. You are not meant to struggle through a path that was designed to be guided. You are not meant to keep questioning what your spirit already knows. But if you choose to walk away from this moment, if you choose to ignore what is being revealed to you now, then the consequences will not disappear. They will deepen, not as a form of rejection, but as a reflection of the choice to remain out of alignment. This is why the message is so direct. This is why it carries weight. Because you are being given a chance to stop this before it extends further into your life. Right now, you stand in a moment of awareness. A moment where you can see what was once hidden, where you can understand what once felt confusing. And with that awareness comes responsibility. You can no longer say you did not know. You can no longer move forward without recognizing the truth that has been placed before you. But there is still hope. Real, powerful hope. Because alignment can be restored. The delays can be lifted. The clarity can return. The path can open again in ways that feel natural and guided. But that restoration requires a decision. A conscious, intentional choice to step back into alignment. To listen where you once ignored. To act where you once hesitated. And that decision cannot be delayed any longer. Because what is happening right now is not just about your past. It is about what is unfolding in your present. There is a battle taking place, one that you cannot see with your eyes, but one that is affecting everything around you. And what comes next will reveal that battle and the role you play within it. Right now, in this very moment, there is more happening around you than your eyes can see. This is not just about a past mistake or a missed moment. This is about a present battle, a real, active struggle over your direction, your clarity, and your purpose. And whether you realize it or not, you are standing at the center of it. This battle is not physical. It is not something you can touch or measure, but you can feel it. It shows up in your thoughts, in your emotions, in the tension you carry without fully understanding why. It is the push and pull between moving forward and holding back, between clarity and confusion, between obedience and hesitation. Attention is not random. It is the evidence of a deeper conflict. On one side, there is alignment. There is the path that was prepared for you, the direction that leads to clarity, peace, and purpose. This is where Archangel Michael stands, firm, unwavering, protective. He is not passive in this moment. He is actively fighting to pull you back into that alignment, to shield you from further delay, to restore what was disrupted. On the other side, there is resistance. Not always obvious, not always dramatic, but present in ways that are easy to overlook. It speaks through doubt, through distraction, through the voice that tells you to wait just a little longer, to think a little more, to hesitate one more time. It convinces you that there is no urgency, that things can be addressed later, that this moment is not as important as it feels. But that is where the danger lies. Because every moment you remain in hesitation, that resistance gains ground. Not power over you, but influence around you. It begins to shape your environment, your decisions, your direction. And slowly, without realizing it, you begin to move further away from the path that was meant for you. Archangel Michael sees this clearly. He sees how close you are to stepping fully into alignment, and he also sees how easily that step could be delayed again if you allow hesitation to remain. That is why his presence is so strong right now. He is not waiting for you to figure this out on your own. He is stepping in, with authority, with urgency, to make sure you understand what is at stake. You are not just someone moving through life without purpose. You are someone who carries significance, someone whose decisions create impact beyond what you can see. That is why this battle is focused on you. Not because you are weak, but because you are valuable. And value always attracts attention. This is not something to fear. It is something to recognize. Because once you see it clearly, you also understand your role in it. You are not powerless in this moment. You are not being pulled in directions without control. You are being given a choice, one that determines which side of this battle you align with. Will you continue to entertain the hesitation, the doubt, the delay that has already disrupted your path? Or will you stand firm, recognize the truth, and step back into alignment with intention? Because the moment you choose alignment, everything begins to shift. The confusion loses its hold. The distractions lose their influence. The path that once felt unclear begins to reveal itself again, step by step. Not all at once, but enough for you to move forward with confidence instead of uncertainty. But that shift requires action. It requires you to stop observing and start responding. You cannot remain neutral in this moment. You cannot stay in between. Because this is not a passive situation. It is an active battle, and your position matters. Archangel Michael is already standing for you. The question is whether you will stand with him. Because what is coming next is even more urgent than what you have heard so far. There is a window that is beginning to close, a moment of opportunity that will not remain open indefinitely. And what you do as that window narrows will determine everything that follows. There are moments in life that do not repeat themselves. Moments that arrive quietly, without announcement, yet carry the power to change everything. You are standing in one of those moments now. A door has been opened before you, an opportunity for alignment, for correction, for stepping fully into what was meant for you. But that door is not going to remain open forever. This is what you must understand with absolute clarity. Spiritual windows are not permanent. They are timed. They exist within a specific moment, a specific alignment of readiness, awareness, and choice. And when that moment passes, the opportunity does not always return in the same way. Right now, that door is still open, but it is beginning to close. You may not see it physically, but you can feel it. There is a pressure building, a sense that something is shifting, something is reaching a point of decision. This is not your imagination. This is the narrowing of that window, the final moments where choice becomes action, where awareness must turn into response. Archangel Michael is not raising his voice without reason. He sees the timing. He sees how close you are to either stepping through that door or watching it close while you stand still. And he is calling you now, not gently, but firmly, because hesitation at this stage carries a cost that is far greater than before. This is not about perfection. It is not about having everything figured out. It is about movement. It is about responding when your spirit has already recognized the truth. You are not being asked to understand every detail. You are being asked to act on what you already know. Think about the moments you delayed before. The times you said, "I will do it later," or "I need more clarity," or "this can wait." Those moments led you here. But this moment is different. This is not a moment that can be postponed without consequence. Because when a door like this closes, it does not close in anger. It closes in completion. The opportunity has run its course. The moment has passed. And what remains is the path that follows from the choice you made. If you step forward now, that door becomes your passage into alignment. The delays begin to lift. The confusion starts to clear. You move into a space where things begin to flow again, not perfectly, but purposefully. But if you hesitate again, if you choose to wait, to question, to turn away, then that door will close behind you. And what follows will not be immediate loss, but gradual distance. Distance from clarity, from ease, from the sense of direction that you were meant to walk in. This is why the urgency feels so strong. This is why the message has reached this intensity. Because you are not being called to prepare, you are being called to move. Archangel Michael stands at that doorway, not blocking it, but guarding it, ensuring that you understand its importance, ensuring that you do not walk past it without recognizing what it truly is. You are closer than you think, closer to alignment, closer to clarity, closer to stepping into what has been waiting for you. But closeness alone is not enough. Action is what carries you through. Do not let this moment become another memory of hesitation. Do not let this be another point you look back on and wonder, what if I had acted? Because right now, you do not have to wonder. You have the chance to choose differently. Step forward, even if it feels uncertain, even if it feels uncomfortable, because that step is what keeps the door open. And once you move, you will begin to see what was hidden before. You will begin to understand why this moment mattered so deeply. You will begin to feel the shift that only comes when alignment is restored. Type "I step through the door" in the comments if you are ready to act. Blessing code 5824 is now released over your life. And as you stand at this doorway, understand something powerful. This moment is not only about you. There are others who are standing at their own doors, unsure, hesitant, waiting for confirmation. When you act, when you respond, you become a light that helps guide them as well. I declare this with conviction. I am not just receiving this message, I am becoming a vessel for its impact. There is a flow that begins when you sow into what is guiding you. Like a seed placed into fertile ground, your action creates a harvest that extends beyond what you can see. The word speaks of open windows of heaven pouring out blessings when obedience is met with faith. This is that moment. If this message has reached your spirit, then respond not only with words, but with action. Support this mission through Super Thanks or through the PayPal link provided in the description and QR code. Let your giving become part of the movement that carries this message to others who are still searching. And as you sow, may every closed place in your life begin to open. May every delay begin to shift. May your path be restored with clarity, strength, and divine direction. And now listen carefully, because what you are about to receive is not just understanding, it is instruction. Up to this point, you have been shown what happened, why it matters, and what is at stake. But none of that has power unless you know how to respond. And this is where everything begins to shift. Because the mistake you made can still be corrected, but only if you act with intention, honesty, and immediacy. The first step is acknowledgement. Not surface-level acknowledgement, not something you say quickly just to move past it, but a deep, honest recognition of what truly happened. You must allow yourself to see that moment clearly, without excuses, without justifying it, without softening it to make it feel smaller than it was. This is not about guilt. It is about clarity. Because what you refuse to fully acknowledge, you cannot fully correct. Take a moment within yourself and revisit that decision. Feel it. Understand it. Recognize exactly where you hesitated, where you ignored, where you delayed. That awareness is not meant to weigh you down. It is meant to anchor you in truth. The second step is realignment. Once you see the truth, you must choose differently. Not in thought, but in action. Whatever you were called to do in that moment, whether it was to speak, to step away, to move forward, or to trust, you must now take a step in that direction. It may not look exactly the same as before, but the essence of that action still exists. If you were meant to speak, then speak now. If you were meant to release something, then release it. If you were meant to move forward but held back, then take that step now, even if it feels uncomfortable. Alignment is not restored through intention alone. It is restored through movement. The third step is removal of hesitation. You cannot carry the same pattern into this correction. If you approach this moment with the same delay, the same overthinking, the same internal resistance, then you will remain in the same cycle. This is why urgency matters. This is why you are being called to act now, not later. Hesitation is what created the disruption. Decisiveness is what restores alignment. You must make a firm decision within yourself that you will no longer ignore what your spirit clearly shows you, that you will no longer delay when you feel called to act, that you will trust the guidance you receive, even when it does not come with full certainty. The fourth step is reconnection. This is where your relationship with the divine deepens. Not through routine, not through empty words, but through genuine presence. Speak honestly. Express what you feel, what you regret, what you now understand. There is no barrier here. You are not being shut out. You are being drawn back in. Archangel Michael's presence in this moment is part of that reconnection. He is not only correcting you, he is standing with you as you return to alignment. His role is to protect that process, to ensure that what you begin now is not easily disrupted again. Allow yourself to feel that support. Allow yourself to recognize that you are not doing this alone. And finally, the fifth step is consistency. One moment of correction is powerful, but it must be followed by a pattern of alignment. You cannot return to hesitation after stepping forward once. You must carry this awareness with you moving forward, allowing it to guide your decisions, your responses, your direction. Because alignment is not a single action. It is a way of moving through your life. If you follow these steps, something remarkable begins to happen. The weight you have been feeling starts to lift. The confusion begins to clear. The path that once felt blocked begins to open again, not all at once, but steadily, as you continue to walk in alignment, This is how restoration begins. Not through waiting, not through hoping things will change on their own, but through conscious, intentional action that brings you back into the flow that was always meant for you. You are not too late, but you are at the edge of that possibility. What you do right now determines whether you step back into alignment or continue to feel the distance that has already begun. And what comes next will reveal something powerful, the sign that you are still chosen, that despite everything, you have not been forgotten, and that this moment itself is proof of something greater working in your favor. Take a deep breath and allow this truth to settle into your spirit. Despite everything that has been revealed, despite the mistake, the hesitation, the delay, you are still chosen. This is not something you need to earn again. It is not something that was taken away from you. It is something that has remained with you, even in the moments when you stepped out of alignment. And the greatest proof of that is this very moment. You are not here by accident. Out of countless voices, countless distractions, countless paths you could have followed today, you were brought here. You were led to hear this message, to feel this conviction, to recognize these truths. That is not random. That is intentional. That is a sign. Because those who are not chosen for correction are often left in silence. But you were not left in silence. You were interrupted, called out, brought into awareness in a way that may feel intense, even overwhelming, but it is also deeply personal. Heaven does not intervene like this without reason. Archangel Michael does not step forward with this level of urgency for someone who has no purpose. His presence alone is confirmation that your life carries significance. You may have doubted that recently. You may have questioned your direction, your value, your place in everything that has been unfolding. The delays, the confusion, the misalignment, they can make you feel as though you have lost something important, as though you have fallen behind in a way that cannot be recovered. But that is not the truth. The truth is, you are paused, not removed. There is a difference. The pause allows for correction. It creates space for awareness. It gives you the opportunity to see what needs to be adjusted before moving forward again. Removal, on the other hand, would mean disconnection, silence, absence of guidance. But that is not what you are experiencing. You are experiencing a call back. That is what this moment is. A call back into alignment. A call back into clarity. A call back into the path that was always meant for you, even if you stepped away from it briefly. And the fact that you can hear that call, that you can feel it, recognize it, respond to it, is undeniable evidence that you are still connected, still seen, still chosen. But here is what you must understand clearly. Being chosen does not mean being forced. It does not mean you will automatically return to alignment without action. Choice is still yours. That is what gives your obedience meaning. That is what gives your response power. You are being invited back, not pushed. And invitations can be accepted or ignored. That is why this moment matters so deeply. Because you are not trying to regain something that was lost. You are stepping back into something that has been waiting for you to return. Think about that. The path has not disappeared. The purpose has not been erased. The direction has not been taken away. It hath been waiting. Waiting for your awareness to rise. Waiting for your decision to shift. Waiting for you to recognize what had been in front of you all along. And now, that recognition is here. You can feel it in the way this message is settling into you. In a way certain thoughts are becoming clearer. In the way something inside you is beginning to align again, even if just slightly. That is not coincidence. That is restoration beginning. Archangel Michael stands not only as a protector, but as a witness to this moment, a witness to your awareness, your choice, your return. His earlier intensity was to awaken you, but now there is something else present as well: assurance. Because once you choose alignment, once you take that step back into what you know is right, you are not left to figure everything out alone. Guidance returns. Protection strengthens. Clarity begins to unfold in ways that feel natural again. This is your confirmation. You are not too far gone. You are not too late. You are not disqualified. You are still chosen. And what comes next will show you exactly what happens when you fully step into that truth, when you move beyond awareness into obedience, beyond hesitation into action, and begin to experience the transformation that follows alignment. Something powerful begins to happen the moment you choose obedience over hesitation. It is not always loud or immediate, but it is undeniable. The shift starts within you first, quiet, steady, and deeply real. Where there was once confusion, there begins to be clarity. Where there was heaviness, there is a lightness that you cannot fully explain. This is the beginning of transformation. Obedience is not about perfection. It is about alignment. It is the moment you stop resisting what your spirit already knows and begin moving in agreement with it. And when that agreement is made, everything that was once out of place begins to realign itself around you. You may not see the full picture immediately, but you will feel the difference. Decisions that once felt overwhelming begin to feel simpler. The noise in your mind starts to quiet down. The constant questioning begins to fade, replaced by a sense of direction that feels steady, even if it is not yet complete. This is how transformation works. It does not overwhelm you all at once. It unfolds step by step as you continue to walk in obedience. The delays you experienced before begin to loosen their hold. Situations that once felt stuck begin to move again. Doors that seemed closed start to open in unexpected ways. Not because everything suddenly becomes easy, but because you are no longer working against the flow that was designed for you. You are moving with it. And when you move with alignment, things begin to connect in ways that feel almost effortless. The right conversations happen at the right time. The right opportunities appear when you are ready for them. The right clarity comes exactly when you need it. It may not look dramatic from the outside, but from within, you will know something has changed. This is the reward of obedience. Not material gain alone, not immediate success, but restoration of flow, restoration of clarity, restoration of the connection that allows you to move forward without constant resistance. Archangel Michael's presence shifts as well in this stage. Where there was intensity, there is now strength. Where there was urgency, there is now guidance. He does not step away. He walks with you, ensuring that the path you have returned to remains protected. Because once you step back into alignment, there is something that must be guarded: your consistency. Transformation does not come from one moment alone. It comes from maintaining the choice you have made, continuing to listen, continuing to act, continuing to trust, even when things are still unfolding. This is where many fall back into old patterns. They experience the initial shift, the initial clarity, and then slowly allow hesitation to return. But you are being called to something higher than that. You are being called to sustain your alignment, to build a new pattern that replaces the old one completely. And you are capable of doing that. Because now you are aware. You recognize the difference between alignment and misalignment. You understand what hesitation feels like, and you understand what obedience requires. That awareness is your strength. It allows you to catch yourself before you drift, to correct your course before delays begin again. This is how transformation becomes permanent. Not through force, not through pressure, but through conscious, consistent alignment with what you already know to be true. As you continue on this path, something else begins to emerge: confidence. Not the kind that comes from external validation, but the kind that comes from inner certainty. You begin to trust yourself more. You begin to trust the guidance you receive. You begin to move forward without constantly looking back. And that is where true freedom begins. Freedom from confusion. Freedom from constant doubt. Freedom from the cycle of hesitation that once held you back. You step into a place where your path may not be fully revealed, but your direction is clear. And that clarity is enough to keep moving forward with purpose. This is what was waiting for you on the other side of obedience. This is what was at risk when you hesitated. And now, this is what is being restored as you choose differently. What remains now is the final message, the closing call from Archangel Michael. Not one of warning, but one of reassurance, peace, and confirmation that you are protected as you move forward in this new alignment. Beloved one, feel the stillness that has now settled around you. The urgency that once pressed upon your spirit has not disappeared. It has transformed. What began as a warning has now become a covering. What began as correction has now become confirmation. You are no longer standing in confusion. You are standing in awareness, and that awareness has brought you back into alignment. Archangel Michael's voice is no longer raised in intensity, but it remains powerful, steady, and present. He stands beside you now, not as one calling you out, but as one walking with you forward. His presence is a shield around your decisions, a guard over your path, and a reminder that you are not alone as you continue from this moment. The mistake that once echoed in the heavens no longer defines you. It has been answered. It has been corrected through your awareness, through your willingness to listen, and through your decision to respond. This is what heaven was waiting for, not perfection, but alignment. Not fear, but obedience. Not silence, but your return. Let go of the weight you were carrying. That heaviness you felt, that sense of something being off, it no longer has a place within you. You are not walking away from this message the same way you came into it. Something has shifted. Something has been restored. And even if you cannot yet see the full outcome, you can feel the difference within your spirit. Hold on to that. Because as you move forward, there will still be moments that test your awareness. There will still be opportunities where hesitation may try to return. But now, you are not the same. You recognize the pattern. You understand the importance of your response. And that understanding gives you power. Archangel Michael's final call to you is simple, yet deeply profound. Stay aligned. Not just in this moment. Not just while the message is fresh in your mind, but in the way you live moving forward. Let your decisions reflect what you now know. Let your actions carry the clarity you have received. Let your spirit remain open to the guidance that continues to flow toward you. You are protected as you walk this path. You are guided as you make these decisions. You are strengthened as you remain consistent. There is no need to fear what lies ahead. The same presence that called you back is the same presence that will lead you forward. Trust that. Walk with that. And allow your life to unfold in the alignment that has now been restored. This is your peace. This is your confirmation. This is your new beginning, not one disconnected from your past, but one that has learned from it, grown through it, and risen beyond it. Carry this with you, not as a memory, but as a living truth. Type "I walk in alignment" in the comments if you receive this peace. Blessing code 9042 is now released over your life. And as this message settles into your heart, understand this sacred truth. You were not the only one meant to hear this. There are others, right now, standing where you once stood, feeling the same hesitation, facing the same unseen battle. When you respond to this call, you become part of a greater flow, a river of light reaching those who are still searching. I feel led to say this with you. I am not just receiving this word, I am helping it reach the souls who need it most. The word declares, "Give, and it shall be given unto you, pressed down, shaken together, and running over." This is not just a verse. It is God speaking directly into your moment. As you sow into this mission, you are planting seeds into lives you may never see, but heaven sees them. Heaven multiplies them. This is your moment to act prophetically. Do not hesitate. Do not delay. Step forward and support this message through Super Thanks or through the PayPal link in the description and QR code. Let your giving become a divine response, a seed that unlocks doors not only for others, but for your own path as well. And as you give, I declare over you, may your life overflow with clarity, with peace, with divine direction. May every seed you release return to you as a harvest of breakthrough, protection, and unstoppable alignment. Now go forward and remain aligned.